Welcome to the Healers Café, conversations on health and healing with Dr. Manon.
So welcome to the Healers Café, and today I have with me Dr. Esther Onyoni, and she's a pharmacist, a functional medicine practitioner, and a certified health coach. And Esther's passion for finding a better way for her clients was sparked after over a decade practicing as a pharmacist. She took care of people living with diabetes and other chronic conditions and noticed that they were on multiple medications and obviously all kinds of problems that came with that. So I'm really thrilled that you've accepted to be on our call here and to share this information with everyone. So let's start. First of all, like, what got you into this whole world? Not the diabetes first, but the becoming a pharmacist, going into healthcare. What started for you?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Glad to share. Yes, I will say that being a pharmacist was my dream. Now, it didn't look like something that was possible for me at first because I grew up in Kenya and I came to the United States after high school. So obviously growing up in Kenya, I saw people suffering. We did have malaria there. And whenever I went to the hospital, I saw how people suffered. And to me, I thought, why am I here? Like, they need help more than I do. But again, it was government hospitals. They didn't have enough supply of medicine. So some people were turned away. So whenever I went to the pharmacy, there was always someone there to help by giving a remedy to whatever symptoms you described. And I thought that's what I really want to do in life. But again, I didn't think I had that chance. But obviously, when I came to the United States, there was the opportunity for me. And the rest was history on that one. So I have practiced for about 15 years. And in that time, the way I practice was different from how I saw it in Kenya, because of course, yes, we still give medication for whatever ailment somebody comes and describes, but it's more of, there is more access obviously than the way I saw it before. And there is a lot more people taking medication. And so what I've seen in my practice is that sometimes I just want to hit the reset button because I feel like there is a medication for everything, which is a good thing. But then when does it stop? Because most of the time you find that you're treating a side effect of another medication with another medication. And so that's what I've observed in terms of the differences. So there is more access, so there's more people taking medication. I feel like just because it's accessible, it's something that, and then also just being in a very busy environment or part of the world. So it's always, there's a remedy for everything, and that's just how it goes. So it makes me feel like there is a way to, or there's got to be a way to hit the reset button and let's see really what's going on before we continue piling on. So that's where I have gotten so far.
Let me just clarify a little bit. So you were saying, like, in Kenya, your understanding of the role of a pharmacist was different than what you ended up seeing in reality with the excess access that we have in well, you're in the States, right? In North Carolina, that that there's much more access, but because of that, there's also excess of or over prescribing, or like you're saying, it prescribing the side effects of the side effects of the side effects rather than to the cause, like going to what can be done. Is that my understanding.
Absolutely. That's how I describe it. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. And to me, it seemed that the people that always tended to make me want to hit the reset button are the people who had chronic conditions. Diabetes stood out for me because I definitely feel a lot of those prescriptions. And it's more of, I can feel the prescription and then I can look at somebody's face and I could see that that's probably just not all I need to give to them. So there is more. So when you dig deeper into what else is going on, you'll ask, how is this working for you? And they would say, well, I'm taking my medication, but I got more medication because it wasn't quite under control. But what else could you do? And that's where they, for the most part, they did not know. My doctor is taking care of me, so I have the medication. And it made me feel like there's got to be more to offer the patients than just the medication I was offering. And then I did that for a very long time, and I got to a point where I felt like I need to say something more than, okay, here's your medication. And so, but something about me kept holding me back, and I think it's because of my upbringing again, which I didn't grow up as this most confident kid. I have a lot of things that I have to overcome. Fear of speaking up from the constant being a little kid who was never supposed to speak up. So I had to overcome that to be able to tell my patients that I have something more to offer. So I had to find a way to not be this person who's kind of hiding in plain sight. You want to say, but you don't want to speak up. You don't want to cause any confrontation. And so those are some of the things I had to overcome for myself in order to be somebody who can speak up. Because every time I served the patients with diabetes, I had this feeling in me that I need to speak up more because what I'm doing was not necessarily helping them feel better in terms of a cure or even reverse the condition. It was just getting them through. And so I had to find a group of people who would help me get past that, because I felt like every time I want to speak, I had to hold my tongue. But I had a group of people.
Yeah, it's interesting what you're saying too, though, because it's kind of different than standing up and speaking out in general, right? You're actually speaking against not against, it's for the patients, but it's against, in a sense, a big body of belief that the drugs are all we need, and it's prescribed by the doctors, and the doctors, some of them, that's all they know. They haven't done any other extra research, or maybe don't even believe that the body is so fabulous and fantastic that we can actually help people heal, right? It's like, take this drug and you'll be better. You'll manage the symptoms, basically. So that's the mindset, right? And then you've got not just the doctors believing that, you then have patients that believe that, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, and that's the thing, is that you can't just blame the doctors.
No.
The public says, oh, that's all I can do, just give me my drugs, I'll be happy.
That's how we were trained, and that's how I did it for a long time, until it felt like there's got to be more than this, okay? Because our training was definitely more like treating symptom, right? So someone's been diagnosed with diabetes, which I think the doctors do a really good job in diagnosing. So that part I love. And then with my training, it went with, okay, so this is the guideline, all right? And actually the most current guideline is you recommend medication first, metformin, and also lifestyle changes. But there is not enough time in the doctor's office to really explain to someone what that looks like. And what ends up happening is just someone walks in and now they have this prescription, and they either show up with overwhelm, right? Like, okay, I need to start this medication and it might be for the rest of my life. And this is the end of me, because if I don't, or if I don't take care of it, I might end up with all those complications we hear about. It'll affect my kidneys. I know a family member who had that. It'll affect maybe my limbs. So it's somebody comes in overwhelmed and just feels like this is the dire end of it. Or you find someone who will come in with with that mentality of, okay, now I'm going to do something about it, so I don't have to take this medication. And both ways are not the best way, because you're still having the condition that's been diagnosed in you and it's progressing. So you have to do something. You can't say, I'm not going to take the medication, and you can't say, that's all I'm going to take and do nothing more. So that's where I saw that my training stopped at the guidelines. Okay, this is the guideline. If it's not controlled, then we add on another class of medication. And the other thing we do in our training is the medication, they'll tell you the medication will lower the A1C, which is the number that shows your average blood sugar levels in a given amount of time, usually 12 weeks. And it tells the doctor how your blood sugar has been. And so it will tell, these medications you take, they'll tell you this one will lower your A1C by this amount. And if you add on this drug, and then this is how much lower you can go. And sometimes it's half a percentage point or 1 percentage point. And you see, for someone whose A1C is really high, that 1 or 2% reduction doesn't necessarily cut it. And so there's always the fact that there is more that you need to do. And this is where the patients need to be told, or at least encouraged, to do more than just taking the medication.
Yeah. So then you went into functional medicine then to learn how to get to to all the circumstances and the cofactor causes that can help a person improve, or what? Tell me a little bit your journey. How did that go?
Sure. And so actually, I went into health coaching first. Okay. And because then I get to step from behind the counter and do more of, okay, this is what's really happening. And that's when I stumbled upon, okay, so with health coaching, you're able to help somebody see how they could help their condition without telling them, just take that medication and go and work out, because that doesn't always work. We know that people will start either an exercise regimen or some kind of diet, and in a week or two, it's too drastic and they will stop. So you're back in that same circle you were. And as a coach, I saw that I will influence people more by helping them see the reason they need to continue with a different lifestyle to influence the control of their condition. Now, the functional medicine portion is because I was really fascinated that you can actually get to the bottom of this, and you don't have to keep treating the condition or just managing the condition. You can actually get to the bottom of how you got here. And the interesting thing about this is I learned in the conventional way how to manage diabetes. And then once you come into the functional medicine or the coaching part, you find that you can take a simpler route to manage the condition than all the other mechanisms of actions you have had to explain why you need to choose which medication. It's entire time, you just had to start from a different slower angle, really. So like the patients would say, oh, I don't know what to eat, and I need to watch what I'm eating, but it doesn't have to be that drastic. So if you help someone in functional medicine, if you help find the root cause of why they are where they are, they will see why they need to either get involved into some kind of physical activity, or why they need to be involved in any kind of nutrition, healthy nutrition. And so that fascinated me. So I'm really working into that and encouraging my patients to that there is a way you can get to the root cause of this. And every time I mention that, they're like, that's possible, there's such a thing, okay, tell me about it.
Well, I mean, it's like a paradigm shift for many people who are brought up in a system where the only solutions are drugs, to then go back and realize that maybe they could either prevent it from getting worse, they could reverse it, and they can do so much themselves. So I'm a strong believer that there's not one size fits all. So there's not like, this is the one and only plan for you. But what have you found that you could share with this audience to be part of the biggest changes, the biggest successes that people can have if they were to just find out they have, diabetes, or that they're concerned because family members have it or something like that? What would you generally say? And again, I'm saying it's general, so I know that it's not specific one-to-one because so many factors come in.
Okay, so it's more of how I meet people once, especially if they have the diagnosis, and how they'll approach me. One of the ways that they will approach me is to say, how do I take care of this? An example is when they'll approach me and say, I've been diagnosed and my kidneys are not doing well. What can I take to revive my kidneys? Which is the answer you give is not necessarily going to be what they're looking for. But what can they expect is, what I'll start is to tell them, okay, so let's see what you do on your daily basis, which is really basic. And, a lot of people will give it a second look and go, what do you mean? I mean, I just need a remedy right now. And so what do you do on a daily basis? And people will mention the diets they have tried. And it's mostly not even a diet that you need to be on. It's more of what's a sustainable thing you can do. And an example of what I tell them is, do you know that there is a foods that give you energy and foods that drain your energy? And that will get somebody, what do you mean by that? There is or just mentioning that you can have your veggies for breakfast, and that's something foreign. So there's simple things I say. So when I talk about functional medicine, it's pretty much getting to the root, not necessarily going crazy ordering labs necessarily, and that's sometimes necessary, but not always. It's doing the very basic things.
Hi, I'm Dr. Manon Bolliger, and I wanted to take a moment to thank you for watching these podcasts. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Also, feel free to leave comments and like it. This way, more people get to find out about this work and about other choices for health. So I think it's really important that we all share this information. I have a free gift to you. It's a 7-sequence email that has tips for every day, and it's a little insight about how to live your life when it comes to health. And it's very much built on how I managed to overcome stage 4 cancer and what it took. So I would love you to have this. And thank you once again for listening to these podcasts.
First. So when I mentioned that, it helps them take a back seat. But what really influences them is just seeing how I can change their mindset, because that's where you need to start in order for any of this to even be possible. So if I tell them, okay, about physical activity, I know you said you work out, how are you doing this? I have met someone who does the working out twice a day, like just drastic. And I say that, but that's not sustainable. So let's try something more sustainable, because you'll get tired so quickly, you'll get burned out, and you will stop, and the condition continues to affect you. So what's the one thing that you love to do? Let's go there first, and they will take a back seat and go, okay, well, we could try that. And I find that after the mindset, and I can introduce all these things to people, and they will respond.
So just to repeat, the mindset that you're dealing with first is what though? What's the biggest thing that has to shift for them to go, okay, I'm going to listen to you?
Okay, so that's the other part. I do some educational webinars, and so I teach about the condition and what's really causing diabetes, what's causing you to be where you are. That kind of gives them the insight of, okay, so there's definitely something I can do to help with what I say is to help reverse the condition, and I'm talking about type 2. But before that, they had never heard of such a thing as reversing, because all we've heard is it's once you have been diagnosed, you're here, it's here to stay. There is no cure, but there is reversing. And so we just make that clear, and these are the things to do. So when I do the teachings that are, I feel like they're very inspiring, because it helps them see how they got to where they are. They respond more in that way.
And the main things that you have found that gets them to developing diabetes and that they're willing to change, are what?
Okay. First of all, they didn't get here in one day. It's something that's been evolving. It's more of the boundaries they've not built for themselves. So someone just keeps, for instance, if it's the stress they're dealing with, they keep dealing with it for a long time, and not dealing with it just makes them buffer, so they'll buffer with the kind of lifestyle. So obviously people will tell me, I could eat better, or I could pick up and walk sometimes. So you'll find that people know what they could do that they're not doing. And it just takes telling or helping them see why they should do it to help influence their condition. So I find that for the most part, there is stress involved. And then people either stress eat or just not worry about what they're eating. And then there is just the part where there is all this easy pick-me-up foods, because they also lead a very busy lifestyles. Their family, whatever they have to do to get through their day. So they have the mostly available, easily packaged foods that they eat. I know a client that I introduced to, okay, you could do this for breakfast, like eat pumpkin. which is it's called it's not it's not buttercup, it's not butternut, but buttercup pumpkin. So it's a different pumpkin. So all you do is literally boil it, and it's already sweet, and it's got the texture that you don't have to go adding sugar or baking. You just boil and eat. And you could eat that with, let's say, whatever legume, or even if it's an egg, whatever it is, for breakfast. And they were so surprised that they could do that, and it's versus having to always feel like it's laborious to fix a breakfast meal. So they had to always go and purchase something on their way to work. It's something they already have. So, just seeing that helps open up their mind to, oh, there is more I could do.
Yeah. So like what I'm hearing you say, which I'm very much in agreement with, or I've noticed in my own practice, first you have to give people they need to know that they can change, that it's reversible, that they can heal, that they have agency over their own bodies and choices. That's the first thing. And then you have to deal with the misconceptions that they've been habituated into, and how little changes can make big differences. Right? So that's like a big thing. And it's such a positive thing that you're sharing, because people can do this. It's not impossible, right? It's
possible.
So possible. And yet, when you don't even think that you can make a change, then why would you bother, right? And so that's why with stress, like you're saying, I mean, who doesn't have stress? But if stress becomes the excuse that this is the only way I can deal with it because I don't know anything else, and I can't deal with one more thing I've got to look up, but you've got something like, oh, okay, just put this squash or whatever, do this, have an egg with it, or beans, or whatever your and it's totally fine and it's healthy. You've got something that you can do that's actually less busy than stopping somewhere and and following. I know I had some patients that came from the Diabetic Society, and they have to buy their low sugar Jello, and I'm like, no, you don't actually. You don't have to buy low sugar Jello. You don't have to eat that. It's like
I know.
full of chemicals, and it's like, I mean, there's such a misunderstanding of what is actually healthy. Anyway, so go ahead. I can see you want to say more on this.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the thing, when you tell someone that you could do this and it's too simple, and then they have to sometimes doubt, and then just have to give it a try. But yes, all the things I learned in the functional medicine about, it's not just the nutrition, it's not just the physical activity, it's not just the stress, even sleep. And all I wanted to say is, oh, you could just sleep and you'll actually kind of get it under control. It's the toxins, which nobody ever thinks about. At least I know I never did before. And so when I mention to people the suggestions for what they could eat, because most of the time they'll approach me with what can I change in my diet, and I have to add that for the most part, sometimes I tend to meet clients who are not necessarily American, so they will say, okay, this is the staple food I eat in the country where I'm from. What can I substitute it with? So that's another angle of a way to look at things, because even they have come here and they are used to eating the American diet because that's what's available. And we go back and start talking about all the other foods that are not always in our regular grocery stores. And they say, oh, we used to eat that. Oh, yes. And you kind of guide them to where they could find it. And it helps because they are more inclined to go for it versus
Mhm.
what they've been doing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like going back to simple, healthy, common sense. You know, it's like which is greatly missing these days. So, but it's
It
true.
is, it is, and I think that just because also the patients who have the grown in the environment where we'll just do what the doctors say. That's it's hard for them to open their mind to do something else. I know um, when some people go to the doctor and they're told just watch what you eat, they don't pay attention to the fact that they were not really told what they should eat, and this is creating a whole other cause of confusion
Yeah.
because I don't know what to eat. And then there is the marketing in the stores of
Yeah.
this is low sugar, sugar free, and nobody's mentioning that it could be simpler than that. You don't need anything that's been reduced with anything. You just need to simply, if you can't buy natural food, even just going to the freezer section of the grocery and buy the frozen veggies, because it's packaged, yes, but it's more natural, maybe fewer chemicals than all the ready to go foods. And you could easily find recipes. So when I work with my clients, I that's what we're really doing. Like, these are suggestions for what you could eat, and it helps them see that this is the place where they can start
Mm,
and keep themselves under control.
right. Yeah. Oh, anyway, thank you so much for sharing that and giving hope, because I do think that we overcomplicate things, and now more than ever we have a very we have a big part of the population that believes in these experts or this authority. They lose touch with their own bodies and
Mhm.
they lose touch with the capacity of our innate healing ability and our common sense of we were never born deficient of drugs. you know we really can start with very common sense things. And yes, it's good that there are drugs, there are and other supplements and other things, because sometimes we need them, but we've made it as if this is like we're deficient of it, so we need to keep taking it. So I really appreciate your experience and your perspective. And as we're wrapping up, is there a way that people can get do you have any things that people can get hold of you, or trainings that people can find out a bit more about you, or a website or something?
Oh, sure. Thank you for that. I mostly on social media, so with my name on Facebook and on LinkedIn. Um, also, I am on my website on thewellnesspathfinders.com, and I believe that there is a way, and it is possible to just be well and live well, and so I called it that. Um, but on top of that, what I've noticed is my clients will also have this, especially once diagnosed, they don't know what to ask their doctor. They don't know what to say. It's more kind of the reason why I got into it too. Like, okay, I have the diagnosis. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to ask the doctor. And so I will offer your listeners a checklist of questions they should ask the doctor, or they can ask the doctor in order for that visit to be very meaningful to them, to help them know what to do, when they get home. And definitely, if you want to reach me, I am full of information about simple things that you can do, because it's something I'm excited about, because I did not train in this, in pharmacist training, did not give me this, but then I'm glad that I saw that there is really a lot that we can do and bring control of than just medication.
Great. Well, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you so much for hosting me here.
Thank you for joining us at the Healers Café with Dr. Manon. For more information, go to drmanonbolliger.com.